I just want to get the read on all of this from Scott Bolden, back with us, the former Washington, D.C. Democratic Party chairman. Scott, very good to have you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me, Neil.
You know, with the president, getting sort of, shoved to the side right now with Build Back Better, when Joe Manchin said he couldn't vote for it, he's sort of regrouping or hinting that he will next year and maybe prioritizing working with Manchin on the things that should stick and the things that should go. Assuming that happens and he starts essentially from scratch, Scott, what do you think ultimately goes?
Well, that's complicated because nobody knows really what's pushing Joe Manchin. Remember, the Coal Miners Association is in support of the BBB legislation, and they're in support of it because it gives the organization and its members time to get into some of these new green jobs, if you will. I think the conversation has to continue, or you've got to find a couple of Republicans that you're never going to find in order to get BBB back. There's a lot of good stuff in that BBB plan. And those that live in West Virginia, it's a lot of good stuff in there for them, including the child tax credit. But Joe Manchin's got to explain that, notwithstanding his concerns about climate change and the miners and coal. Coal is going away. The phosphates are going away, if you will. And so that's a reality check for him. We'll see what his next move is. But more importantly, we need to see what Biden's got up his sleeve, if anything, in order to bring Manchin back into the fold. Criticizing him has got to be a short term, because long term they need him.
Yeah, and there was the knee-jerk reaction, certainly from progressives. Even the White House initially was to pile on Manchin. Now, of course, the strategy seems to be, all right, that's a little risky. We can't react that way. But this thing just looks dicey to me next year. You're closer to this and the players than I am. How do you think it will go next year? Do you think this will ever see the light of even a vote?
It could, but I got to tell you, the Democrats need to be focusing on criminal justice reform and the Voting Rights Act being passed, and the latter more so, even so, if I may say, the former, because that's what's going to get them with Democratic voters to come out to vote. Right now, Democrats are mad at Democrats. Democrats are mad at the White House, and the only way you're going to hold on to that House and Senate, and perhaps in 2024, the White House, is to give your constituents something that they put you in the office to do, and something that's helpful for all Americans, Democrats or Republicans, is voting rights. And so less time and less effort has been put on that. And I got to tell you, the biggest voting bloc in the Democratic Party, voters of color, are not pleased. And if they're not motivated to come out in Georgia and elsewhere, I got to tell you, the Democrats have a broader problem of keeping control of all three houses.
Yeah, to your credit, you've always reminded me over the years here, it's one thing to assume that, or fear that a key voting constituency jumps to the other side. Far more dangerous is if they just don't come out to vote. So you got to re-energize them to vote. Having said that, Scott, the president in his ABC interview talked about definitely planning to run, barring any changes in his health, in 2024. Do you believe that?
Well, he's got to say that right now. I don't know whether it's a question of credibility, but he becomes a lame duck if he says he's not running in 2024, and that opens up the floodgates, whether it's his vice president or Mayor Pete. And so he's got to say that. He will continue to true. And so right now, I think we have to accept him for his word.
Yeah, all right, we'll see what happens here. But again, that's his plan, to run. Scott Bolden, if we don't chat again,
how old will he be, by the way? How old will he be in 2024? I don't recall, but he's going to be up there.
He's 79 now. He would be 81 or 82, right? But I'll tell you, Scott, the older I get, the less I look, askance at people who might be a tad older. So I have a much more wider berth of flexibility on that. Have a good Christmas,
I've got more conservative. I've gotten more conservative as I've gotten older, according to my daughters.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, that could be a Fox alert right there. Scott, have a great one. Good seeing you again. All right, Scott Bolden.